I envy people who have a good relationship with their mothers. I think that is something that people take for granted, and I don't. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't take it for granted. Maybe you are very, you know, glad and happy and joyous that you do have a good relationship with your mom, because not everybody gets that in life, you know. And I just to go into detail, I'm not going to go into any deep detail. I'm just going to say this. Some people thrive on discontent, they thrive on strife. This could be considered somewhat narcissistic, and I hate to throw that term into everything, but anyway, let me get back to what I was talking about. I hate to throw the term narcissistic or narcissism into every conversation, because not everybody is a narcissist just because they behave in a certain way. But I think that everybody, all of us, even the best people on the planet, have some tendencies that some people could describe as being somewhat narcissistic. Just maybe conceit is one. You may have people who are upset, and pride is another thing. There's nothing wrong with being proud of yourself or your family or your loved ones or your children. There's nothing wrong with being proud of, overcoming problems in your life and making strides, But pride can also be considered conceit when you overdo it, It's one thing to say, I'm so proud of my child because they've accomplished something. They went through a hard time in life and they were able to overcome that, and they accomplished their goals, and they work hard and they didn't let stuff keep them down. It's another thing to say, I'm so proud that my child got away from his past friends because they were all bad people and bad influences, and it makes you sound like you're so much better, or you believe, and you may feel that way, but it's kind of best to just kind of sometimes limit what you share as far as your thoughts and feelings. But anyway, we don't always, not all of us, get these wonderful family relationships. I've talked about this a little bit. My dad was a hard man to live around. He was. He later in his life, as he got older and closer to, and his health started to fail, and he started to realize, that he was not living, a healthy life, and maybe he wasn't going to be around a lot longer. He softened, and he started wanting a relationship with his children. He started wanting to be more, I won't say loving, because at no point in my lifetime, and this is something sad to admit, but he would say that he loved his kids, but he didn't, he didn't exhibit that kind of love. I don't know that I have ever, in 55 years of life, and maybe when I was very young, maybe when I was a child, that I've ever felt any kind of real, true, genuine motherly love from my mother. Now, she's not cruel. She's not someone who is, deliberately blocks you out of her life or anything like that, but and I just don't know why, because her mother was the most loving, humble, giving, kind, generous, soft person you've ever met. And the apple sure did not fall down that tree, you know. And I hate to talk about this, but I'm sure I'm not the only person that's experienced this. She's just not a loving person, and she is manipulative. I mean, there's no other way to say it. If someone calls, if someone is on the telephone with someone and they're having a conversation, and they say to that person, "Your sister or your brother treats me like crap and never does anything for me, never calls me, never comes around me, doesn't offer to help me. They're just horrible people, and I'm sick, and I'm going through. I'm so sick, and I think there's something really wrong with me and my health, and nobody ever offers to take me to the doctor or anything. But they don't tell you that. They don't call you up and say, "I'm sick, I need to go to the hospital, I need to go to see a doctor, or I haven't been grocery shopping, or I had a bill to pay and I needed someone to take me." They never ask you. They never just call you up and say, "Are you doing anything tomorrow? I've got a doctor's appointment. I need to go to the doctor. I need to go to the grocery store. I need to go pay a bill. I need to go visit somebody. I need to go get my hair done. I need to go to the dinner." They don't call you and ask you anything like that. But they let everybody else that they speak with know that they can't rely on you, that you're not there for them. They expect you to be clairvoyant and read their mind. And they don't understand. They won't accept it. Well, if they understand it, maybe, but they won't accept it. That one of the reasons you don't go out of your way to go around them and to call them up and to talk to them is because when they're on the phone with you, they're saying the same thing about your other family members. They're telling you the same thing about your sister, your brother, your cousin, your nephew, that they said about you to those people. And for some reason, it goes a step beyond that at times. It goes a step beyond that to the point that they will say that one of your family members was talking bad about you, or that they told something on you, told something that you said or did, knowing that 99% of the population is going to call that person up and confront them, or at least call them up and say, "What did I do? Why are you upset with me? Why are you telling people I said this or did this?" And it creates strife. It creates discontent. And they don't seem to understand that one of the reasons that you distance yourself from them is because of that. Because you don't want that drama, and you don't want to take part in that anymore, because you've taken part in it for years. You get to a point in your mental health and in your emotional health that you have no other choice but to take yourself out of that and to stand back and say, "Good luck." This happened to me very recently, where I had to say to one of my siblings, "Good luck," because I'm not playing this game. I'm not going to be a victim of a mind game, for a person wanting to play a mind game. You have to confront people straight ahead. There's no he said, she said, maybe this one said or did this or that. You have to confront people straight on. You have to say to them, "Here is how I feel, and here's what I have to say to you about what you want." Now, I messaged this person and I told them, if you need to go to the doctor or to the grocery store, all you have to do is call and ask. But they would rather tell everybody else in the family and the neighborhood what a horrible person you are, because you never do that. Despite the fact that if you go out of your way to invite them somewhere, or you call them up and say to them, I'm inviting you to go, or I'm asking you if you need me to take you, or you want me to take you, they will say no. They can't go right now. They've got something else that they're doing. I gotta get this guy off my eyes. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pull in right here and let them go on, because they were like right up in my tailpipe. And I don't know who that was. I'm gonna go on now. I just had to pull in this little parking lot here, because they had plenty of time to pass me. We were in a very open area where they could have passed me at least twice, and they were just riding my butt, But the reason I'm talking about this is because, you get to a point that you are done with those childish play, and then you got to factor in that people are going to say to you, well, you have to overlook it because they're elderly, and they may have some dementia, and they may have some people. You all know that I work as a caregiver to the elderly, and yes, I have seen these tactics. I've worked with the elderly who I never deemed to be narcissistic at all, but I've seen them display behaviors toward their own family members that I would say, well, they don't behave, or they would act that way toward me when nobody else was around. They may act that way toward their own family members when nobody else was around. You know what I mean? It's like they want to put on it this display. Now here's what's getting ready to go on in this whole scenario. A relative of mine is moving. They're moving away. They're going to go off and start a whole new life in a whole new state, and more power to them, and I hope that everything in their life is good and works out. I do. I mean that. But what is left is this one particular person, I guess y'all can guess who I'm talking about, will not say to them, this hurts me that you're leaving at my old age. I hate the thoughts of you being out of my life and something would happen to me and you wouldn't be here. They would never dare to say to them, I'm happy for you, and I'm glad that you have found happiness and that you're going to go start a new life in a new place. And I hope that it works out for you. And they would never dare say that to that person, because they can't allow themselves to be happy for anybody else. They just can't do it. They really can't. But they would say to other people, oh, I'm so happy for him, and I hope everything works out for him, and I hope that, that this is what is meant to be, or whatever. They would never say that to that person, but they would say it to other people. But they would never really mean it, They don't mean it. So, in the I don't know what the word is I'm looking for here. They do not have the ability to communicate with other people. They cannot sit down and communicate and say to the other person, here's how I feel, and here's how I just want you to know how I feel, or I'm just going to be quiet about how I feel because I don't want to take anything away from your happiness, and I want you to, enjoy your life, and I'm just going to be quiet about it. But it's pitiful that you can't have a loving relationship with your family member because they don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want to show you love. Maybe they don't know how to feel love, Some people just don't. Some people just don't. Maybe something's happened to them at some point in their life that they have lost that ability to feel love, But the thing about it is, it's one thing to not really display love towards your children or grandchildren or whoever, but it's another thing to deliberately try to cause strife between your children with their brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews. You know, there's a difference between love and guilt. And if somebody is trying to make you feel so guilty that you're not being as loving and attentive to them as they expect. I don't know how many of y'all watch the show 1,000 Pound Sisters. If any of y'all watch that show, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, on the most recent episode, the heavier sister, Tammy, the one that's been in the rehab and stuff for weight loss surgery and everything for so long, she is on the phone with her brother, and she's telling him she wants to come back home, but she had gotten an infection in her tracheotomy in her throat. And the doctors and the people at the clinic are telling them, we don't think it's a good time for her to go home right now because this infection needs to clear up before she leaves. And the family's all trying to tell her, we can't take care of you. The trach has to be cleaned, it has to be suctioned. You have to take a 7-day course at the local clinic and get some kind of training to be able to do that. And she's just like going off on them, cussing them. I'm coming home. If you all don't come and get me, I'll just leave and come home anyway. And then she's telling the people filming her on the camera that her family doesn't show her respect and that she wants respect. But she doesn't offer her family any respect when she talks that way to them and expects them to just go out of their way to take care of her when they are trying to explain to her that they don't know how to do that. They're not trained, and they don't know, how to take care of a trach or anything. That's what I get in my family. That's what I get from the person that's supposed to love and care for you no matter what. That's what you get. You get manipulation, you get expectation, demands. But they don't even demand it of you. They tell other people that you refuse to do those things for them, and they try to make you look bad to everybody around you. And then they try to make you feel guilty about it when you find out. And they know you're going to find out about it. So that's why they say it in a passive-aggressive way. And it's sad. It really is. It's hurtful. At the age of 55 years of age, when you are trying to take care of your own health, both physical and mental and emotional, you have to deal with that. And it's different. It would be completely different if this was from somebody who did have dementia. But they don't. And they are a perpetual victim. They want to be a victim. They want everybody to see them as a victim. And they can't seem to understand that they drive, and maybe they do understand it. Maybe they deliberately do it. And I believe that part, that they deliberately drive people away. I didn't mean for this to be a really long video because I haven't made one in a while. And as far as talking about like the scammers and all those people, CMC, I'm just, I'm to the point that if some of you may have noticed, most of you probably didn't, but I mean, one or two of you might have noticed that I'm not really being active as far as talking about her or any of the other ones. I'm fed up with people like that, and let's face it, I'm not trying to discourage any of the awareness groups or pages. I'm not trying to get people to stop trying to bring awareness about these people and their wickedness. But let's face it, there are people who will deliberately send her money and send all these other ones money just for some kind of, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in response to the awareness pages and the people that are trying to educate them, I've done all I know to do to talk about her, and it's gotten to the point for me that what I'm seeing more than anything, and I've taken part in it too, and I've made videos about her and other people talking about their appearance and what it seems to me is going on in their life on here today. But anyway, I'm just rambling, y'all, now. I'm just pretty much just going on, as they say, carrying on. Stuff going on in my family and stuff the last couple of weeks has just really had me, like, so distracted that I just haven't really had time to sit down and watch all this stuff going on. I've got some very sick relatives right now, a couple of my husband's family, and preparing for a big event that's coming up pretty soon in the next couple of weeks, and I just really haven't had time to focus. And the last time I really tried to sit and watch CMC, really like pay attention to her, was the day that she was on her porch with this blue and white shirt on. And it's the first of the month, because I remember reading comments about she's really, trying to get people's money because it was the first. And she was just screaming this, "Thank you!" every time somebody would send her stars. And it was starting to trigger me really badly. And I'll tell you why. When you have dealt with a narcissist, when you have seen the highs and lows, and when you have experienced the hot and cold of a narcissist, you pick up on that. It took me a long time, as those of you who have followed me on YouTube know what that I talked about all this. I told my story about my relationship with a narcissist and how it took me a long time to figure it all out. And I still haven't figured it all out. There's still things that pop up from time to time that I go, I wonder if that was being, But anyway, it just triggered me, and I'm just like, I can't deal with this. Because I'm going to tell y'all something, if you don't know this, and most of you do. For those of you who do listen to me, you already know this. A narcissist does not feel, and I've talked about this before, I know I'm repeating, but a narcissist does not feel the same kind of happiness that we feel. When something happens to us, or for us, or to someone we love and care about, we feel happiness. We feel this genuine. I'm so glad that this happened. You may laugh and smile and jump and clap your hands, or you may just say, "Oh, I'm so happy for you," and you may hug that person or whatever. You feel that genuinely, and a narcissist does not. They learn how to mimic, just like a parrot. Basically, a narcissist, they're a mockingbird, really. They pick up on other people's behaviors. They learn how to manipulate people. They learn how to get what they want out of people by manipulating them, by lying, by... Remember all the times before when she was not clean, and I'm using air quotes with my fingers to say she was not clean, because we all know she is clean now, right? Well, anyway, she was just flat out about it. When things were not going her way and the money was not coming fast enough, and she couldn't pull the wool over anybody's eyes to send her $20 or $50 for whatever it was at that moment that she claimed to need, she would start humping up like a big bullfrog. And, "Oh, y'all are not my true friends. If you were my true friends, you say you love me, you say you care about me, but you don't show it. If you loved me and you cared about me, you'd send me this money because you'd want me to be happy. But I see how you really are. I see you're fake. I'll never believe nothing you say again. You you liars and haters. It gets to a point when a narcissist is backed into a corner. It's just like an animal. When an animal is backed into a corner, they will bare their teeth and they will bark and they will, snap, and they may even bite if they feel threatened or they think that they're in fear. They're in fear. They think somebody's trying to harm them. What happens to these people that CMC and these other people manipulate? They give in. They surrender, and they say, I can ask her 100 questions about why she needs this money, but she's going to come up with an excuse that sounds reasonable, so I'm just going to go on ahead and give in to her and give her what she asks for. And then the next time, she comes to expect it of them, But anyway, I was just getting so triggered that day trying to watch her that I was just like, I can't watch this. If these people watching her at home genuinely believe that her hooping and hollering and screaming and shouting how happy, and the only time she would do that is when they would send stars. If they can't see how fake and phony that is, then more power to them. Send her your money. Send her every dime of your money. I'm going to tell y'all something else. This family member of mine gets a check every month from the government. Now, electric bills are high, and Kentucky electric bills are probably some of the highest in the country. And by the time he pays his electric bill, but he doesn't have car insurance, he doesn't have to buy gas, he doesn't have to buy cable, he doesn't have a cell phone. So he doesn't spend a whole lot of money on anything other than his electric bill. And, maybe stuff for his house, the basics that we all have to have. Toilet paper and, dishwashing detergent and stuff like that. My husband went to visit them this morning to see if they needed to go to the grocery store because he was going to run out and get some stuff. I'm sitting at a red light right now, and somebody behind me is revving their engine up like it's going to make the light change. It's getting ready to change right now. But he told him, he said, I'm broke. I don't have any money left, and today's only the 8th day of the month. Well, you want to know what his money went to? Take one wild guess. He drank it up. He drank it up in a week's time. Between that and maybe a couple packs of cigarettes, the rest of it went to alcohol. And you cannot feel sorry for somebody that's going to be the rest of this entire month without the basic needs. And if something popped up that he might need, something at his house, if something popped up, let's say for example the bottom come off of his shoe. Well, he's not going to be able to go buy new shoes because he doesn't have any money, because he spent it all on something else that he enjoyed. So he's going to have to borrow a pair of shoes off somebody or put some duct tape around and wear the shoe that's falling apart. And you can't feel sorry for somebody like that. They choose it. And those people that are sitting in their homes watching Krusty, watching these other people, and sending them their money are choosing it. My husband can go talk to this guy 1,000 times a day and tell him you need to quit drinking, you need to stop buying alcohol with your money and make sure that you have everything you need first. You don't have to drink every single day, and you don't have to buy an abundance of alcohol in a week's time, in 6-7 days time, to the point that you run out of money the rest of the month. But he does. And I could sit there and I could tell all the people that do send these people their money, you don't have to send them your money. There's no law that says you have to send her money. You don't have to become a supporter. You don't have to send her money for stars, or you don't have to buy stars and send. You don't have to help her out if she comes into your inbox with a hard luck story. You don't have to send money to Anna's PayPal or Cash App in order to help CMC avoid having to report income to the court. You know, you don't have to do that. You're sitting there watching her. She's buying ribs and hot dogs and chicken and putting them on her grill. And damn, a bag of charcoal now is $8 or $9 a bag. So how is she getting the money for all of that stuff? So why are you feeling that you need to send her money? Do you have the money to go out and buy yourself a bag of charcoal and a pack of ribs? Hell, I haven't had a good rib since Trump left office. I haven't had a good chicken wing since Trump left office. I can't afford it. By the time I pay my bills, and I'm not, and see, me talking about that would plant that idea in somebody's head that I would be asking or hoping that somebody would offer. I've talked about that before. I had a lady a couple of months ago, about a month or so back, I was talking on one of my videos that I was wanting to go and get my hair done, but I needed to buy a new battery for my car, and I did. I bought a new battery, and I went and got my hair done. I had to move some money around, and I had to, forego going out to eat, which I don't hardly ever do that either. Or, you just have to figure out what's the most important. Do I need to go out to eat? Do I need to go get my hair done? I didn't have to get my hair done, but I did have to have a battery for my car. And I did. I bought them. This lady messaged me and she said, I enjoy watching you and I enjoy listening to you, and I want to offer to help you. But she just offered to send me the money to go get my hair done, and I told her how much I appreciated the thought and that it was really nice and generous, and that it made me feel good to know that somebody was watching me that felt that I was deserving of something like that. But I wouldn't take anybody's money. If my child were sick, or, I'm sitting in the dark and I'm freezing and I didn't have the money to pay my electric bill, or, I hadn't had any food in several days, then I might say, okay, I might take a little bit to, I'm going in the creek. I had to pull up on this side road here to let this big van by. It's one of these big vans that hauls people to their doctor's appointments and stuff. And I had to pull up there to get out of his way. But anyway, guys, I'm just rambling. I'm almost home, so I'm going to end this video. But I just wanted to say that. And what I was talking about before, clasp your hands together and pray for this one particular family member of mine who's really, really, it's not looking good for them and his family, his wife and kids. It's just a horrible time. And I don't even like to complain about my own little petty problems when others are. But that's one thing I will say. The reason I got started talking about this to begin with, about family, I got something rattling. I don't know what it is. It only does it when I'm moving, so it must be something laying up my dash or something. But when they use the fact that when they use being sick, they say they're sick, they say something's wrong with them, and that nobody cares enough to even bother to offer to take them to the doctor. Well, how are we clairvoyant to know that there's something wrong, that you need to go to the doctor, when you don't pick up your phone and call your family and say to them, there's something wrong, I'm sick, I need to go to the doctor? When in reality, there's really nothing wrong. It's a ploy. It's a manipulation to get people to feel guilty. To say to somebody, don't you feel guilty that you didn't even bother to call your family member and ask them how they were? when stuff like that happens and you have a family member who's really sick and fighting for their life, you say, I cannot feel sorry for this person, because if they were really suffering and sick, they would not use manipulation to try to guilt their own family members into, looking like the bad guy for not offering to take them to the doctor. But instead, they would say, I'm really sick and I really need help and I really need somebody to care enough to take me to the doctor. But people can't read minds. No matter how many people gets on Facebook and says they're a psychic, they can't read minds. They don't know when somebody's sitting in their home doing without or hurting. And if that person doesn't call them up and say to them. And that brings me full circle back to the beginning of this video. Is we don't all have a close, loving relationship with our family members. And it's sad, because the person that's supposed to love us, and from the moment of conception to the moment of their death or our death, they're not always good, genuine-hearted people. And they don't always care. Even about the people they're supposed to care about, they don't. And there's nothing we can do about it. The best thing we can do for ourselves is to love our own family and our own children and try to do better than that. Try to always be there for the people that are there for us, and not to manipulate other people to help us. Thanks for listening.